Mrs. Kwong is a 75th generation of Confucius, and what she's going to cook for me is a typical everyday dish which was created by Confucius. It's a type of sort of simply stir-fried smoked tofu called Kung Fu tofu. What she's doing is, in a little bit of vegetable oil, Mrs. Kwong's added some Szechuan peppercorns and a little bit of ginger, and it looks like she's just sort of lightly flavouring the oil. It's on a low heat so as not to burn the ginger and the Szechuan peppercorns. You can smell the beautiful aroma of the ginger and garlic and that spicy, sort of woodsy aroma of the Szechuan peppercorns. What's unusual about this dish is that Mrs. Kwong is using the smoked type of tofu. Tofu naturally has a very bland flavour, and what the Chinese love about it is the texture. It's very velvety and silky, and it drinks up all of the flavours around it. This one has that extra edge because it's a little bit smoky. She's just put a little, about a teaspoon of salt into that, and she's just gently sort of moving it from side to side rather than stir-frying it with the Chinese spoon so as not to break it up. It is very delicate. And to finish the dish, some red and green capsicums, or you could add red and green chilies, extra crunch, of course, that beautiful colour, a really nice crunchy texture to offset the velvety texture of the tofu. This is a typical Confucian dish where you find a balance of flavour, texture, colour and ingredient in the one dish, which creates harmony and balance. To accompany Mrs. Kwong's stir-fried tofu, I'm going to do a really simple dish of stir-fried locally grown corn. And what it is a little bit of peanut oil. And I'm going to use ginger and garlic like she did as well, just for the aromatics. Some red onions as well for sweetness and a little bit of crunch. And I've got some really beautiful Chinese duck sausage, which is a little bit like prosciutto, so it's sort of chewy and salty and sweet all at once, and it gives dishes texture and character. If you don't have this, you can also use bacon, something that's sort of smoky and chewy and salty. I've just simply taken the kernels off the corn cobs, and in they go. I love the sweetness of fresh corn. Nothing beats fresh corn, and the crunchy little sort of bites you get. Now, the sweetness of the corn will be a beautiful contrast with the saltiness of the Chinese duck sausage. What I'm doing is just searing the corn so the corn takes in all of that ginger and garlic aroma. Okay, a little bit of Chinese cooking wine. Now, I love using this because it gives the dish a depth of flavour and a roundness of character. A little bit of sugar. I usually use brown sugar because I love the sort of caramelly flavour of brown sugar. What I'm doing is building up the flavour profile of this dish. I'm getting that sort of Confucian element going in, the balance of the sweet and the salty and so on. So building up on the flavour profile and really trying to get that balance of all of the different ingredients. So, to balance out the sugar, I've got a little bit of light soy, which is of course salty. A little bit of vinegar to add a beautiful acidic sour tone to the whole dish. Just a little bit. Some sesame oil, just a touch. Too much is overpowering, but a little bit just gives it that lift. This is a beautiful winter warming dish and so easy and simple. Fantastic serve with a bowl of hot rice. And then just to top it off, some red chilies. Again, for colour, for spice, for extra flavour. And then to balance it out, to get that Confucian balance, some green, because the green looks great with red. You really don't need to cook the corn kernels very much. They're so small and they're beautiful when they're fresh. All you're doing here is really heating them through and mixing them through with that smoky, wonderful Chinese duck sausage. All right. Best eaten when really hot, straight out of the wok. I really hope this meets Mrs. Kwong's expectations of what a true Confucius meal is all about. I'm a 29th generation Kwong dining with a 75th generation Kung. Though from different worlds, we share the same Confucian principles of cooking and dining, and that is our common bond.